So let's say that you have a YouTube channel and you think you make some pretty good content. And then you take a look at how many subscribers you have, like, I don't know, here, and you think, wait, that's like nothing. My content is awesome. I should have more subscribers. Now, at this point, you might think, well, damn it, the algorithm is, screwing me over. What if I could just make my own YouTube where the algorithm does not, screw me over? So, that's exactly what I'm gonna do. So, to make my own YouTube clone, this is what I'm gonna use. For the backend, I'm gonna use PHP. So, why PHP? Well, first off, you should not choose tools solely because they're the, newest thing out there and because they're trending. Your choice of tools should be based on your needs. So, what I want to do is get this thing done as fast as possible. And PHP is pretty good for this. It's easy to use, it's quick to code, and also, and most importantly, it's widely used, still maintained, and also updated, and it's well documented. If you want to know the exact versions of the software which I'm using, here it is. So, what is the functionality of YouTube? Well, YouTube is essentially a site where you can upload and view videos. To upload videos, you sign in, and then you can search for videos like, I don't know, this, and then here's a video, and you have a title, a description, all that stuff, and then you have comments, and then you can add a comment, and then there are recommendations, and then, yeah, that is essentially what YouTube is. Now, to keep things simple, and also so that I can actually finish this thing in a reasonable time frame, here is what I'm going to do. As far as the videos are concerned, I'm going to have the ability to play videos, to upload videos, to delete videos which have been uploaded, to search videos, and finally have some way of auto-recommending videos. Now, to upload a video, you need an account. You need to be able to create an account, and then log in, and obviously log out, and then some basic admin stuff like change your password. So, at this point, I'm gonna assume two things. That one, you have general programming knowledge, so things like loops, ifs, and all that stuff. And two, you do not have any web development experience. So to that end, I'm going to start off with a quick introduction to web development. So most websites start off with an index. Now this index is basically the default landing page that a web browser goes to when somebody goes to a website. In PHP, the index is a file called index.php. So the first thing that I'm going to do is create that file. Next, I'm going to create the basic structure. Now, to actually see what your website looks like, here's what you do. You simply go to localhost. Now, right now it's empty because, well, I haven't done anything yet. So, let's put something on the page. I'm gonna simply put in a paragraph that says, this is a website. Now, if I go back to the web browser, I should see this is a website in text on the page. So, that's what I'm gonna do. And here we are. This is a website. Now, this right here is an HTML tag. And this particular tag is is a paragraph, so text. Now, there are many HTML tags, like this very long list here. And there's more. Basically, there's no point in trying to memorize all of this. If you know what you want to do, but you don't know how to do it, well, just look it up, and you'll find one of these tags that will fit your purposes. So, going back to the code, you don't actually need this here structure. Why, I could remove this here. I could even remove this, and nothing should break. So let's go back to the website and look at that. It still says this is a website. So, I just removed a bunch of stuff. I don't even need all of the structure at all. I could remove this, and then simply put in that p tag just right here on the blank file. Now, if I go back to the website, I still see this is a website. While you don't need that structure, you should have it just to keep things organized. So, I'm back to this. Now, this text here, this is a website, it's kind of just, plain old text. What if I wanted to make this here text, I don't know, like red or something? Change the color a bit. With that, what I can use is CSS. CSS is basically changing the design elements and formatting of stuff on a website. So, how do you apply CSS? There are 3 ways to apply CSS. One way is with the style tag. What I've just done is created the style tag right here. So now, how do I select this here p tag? Well, one way is to assign the p tag in ID. Now, this ID here must be unique. What I'm going to do next is use this ID to apply CSS to the paragraph. Now, to select the ID of this, I basically put in a £, followed by the name of the ID. And within a pair of braces, I simply put in the CSS code that does what I want. Now, you do not need to memorize the CSS attributes. There are a lot of CSS attributes, and if you know exactly what you want to do, then it's a matter of just looking up how to do it in CSS. So here, I've changed the color of this ID, which is the paragraph, to red. So let's go to the web page. And as you can see, the text "this is a web page" is now red. What if I wanted to I don't know, make it instead green? In the CSS, all I'm going to do is change red to green. Now, if I go back to the web page, now the text is green. Now, there's something important that you have to know regarding the order in which HTML tags are displayed. By default, most HTML tags are displayed in block format. Here's what I mean. What I'm going to do is make another paragraph tag and put it right below the first one. So here it is. Now if I go to the website, what I see is the first paragraph tag and then the second one right below it on a separate line. This paragraph tag is display block, and this paragraph tag is also display block. things which are display block will take up the entire space of a line. Now, what if I wanted to put this paragraph tag next to this one on the same line? One way I could do this is by changing the display mode to inline. The first thing that I'm going to do is assign an ID to the second paragraph tag. Next, I'm going to select the second paragraph tag in the style tag. I'm going to do this. What I've just done is change the display attribute of the second paragraph to inline. And inline is basically, as the name implies, on the same line. Now, I also have to do this, which is do the same thing to the first paragraph. Now, if I go back to the website, I see this as a website, the green one, the first paragraph tag, and a second paragraph tag, the second one, on the same line. So yeah, that's the basics on how to apply CSS attributes. Now to do this, what I had to do was apply CSS twice, one to this paragraph tag and one to this paragraph tag. There is a way that I can do this with a bit less work. What I can use instead is a class. So to use a class, what I have to do first is specify the class of the things that I want to apply CSS to. I've done that here and also here. Now, the name of a class must be unique, but you can use a class multiple times, which is exactly the whole point of a class. Now, let's say that what I wanted to do was make all items of class generic paragraph, I don't know, orange. First, I have to select the class. To select a class, what I first do is I start with a period. And then next is the name of the class, and then I put in CSS attributes as per usual. So earlier, I think I said I wanted to make things of this class orange. Well, anyways, that's what I'm going to do. Now, if I go back to the web page, I can see that all the text is in orange, which is exactly what I wanted to do. Now, the style tag is not the only way to apply CSS. What I'm going to do is make a third paragraph tag. What I'm going to do now is apply CSS to the tag itself. And I can do that with this bit here, style equals and then a pair of quotes. And let's say that what I want to do is make this third paragraph tag, let's say the color purple. To apply CSS attributes this way, you just put the attribute inside of the quotes. So now, let's go back to the website. What I see is a third line of text here, and it is purple. So that worked. Finally, the third way of applying CSS is through an external file which is linked. I'm going to start by making a fourth paragraph tag, and I'm going to assign it an ID. What I'm going to do next is make a file which will contain the CSS. Note that a CSS file has the extension .css. Now I'm going to select the ID of the fourth paragraph, and let's say that what I want to do is make this paragraph, I don't know, red. Now what I have to do is link this file to the index.php file. So first I'm going to get the relative path of the CSS file. And then link it. So Now that I've done that, I'm going to go back to the web page, and would look at that. A fourth line of text, which is red. As long as I'm talking about linking files and file paths, there's something that you have to know. So the file path is relative to the page which is doing the linking. So, for example, the index.php file here, which is linking to the index.css file here, well, they're both in the same folder. So if I go back to the index.php file, here, all I have to do is just specify the name of the file which is being linked. What if I were to make a folder which contains the CSS file? What I've just done is I've made a folder called CSS right here. And what I'm going to do is move the index.css file into the CSS file. So now let's see if this still works. I'm going to go back to the web browser now. And would you look at that? A fourth line of text is no longer red. So yeah, and that's because this here, linking to this file, well, it doesn't exist anymore in the path which is specified. I've made a folder called CSS, and I have moved this file here into it. So what I have to do is basically go forward into the CSS folder. So I can do that by changing the file path. So I can go CSS and then slash and then this file. And let's see if it works now. And now a fourth line of text is red. The reverse is also true. So let's say that I had a PHP file that was in the CSS folder, and the external CSS file was one folder before it. Then what I would have to do when linking the CSS file is, instead of going one folder forward, I would have to go one folder backwards, and then specify the name of the external CSS file. So that's how file pathing works. And whenever you have any use of file pathing, whether it is for CSS or JavaScript or really anything else, this same rule applies. Now, it is also possible to have HTML tags which are inside of other HTML tags. So what I'm going to do is create a div. And a div is basically just a container. So within this div, I'm going to put in a paragraph. Now I'm going to go to the browser, and I see the paragraph which I just put in, right here. Now, in terms of CSS, any CSS which is applied to the container generally also applies to things within the container. For example, if I did this, change the color to red, and I go to the browser, well, the paragraph here is now red. Now, the CSS which is applied changes based on how specific it is. For example, right now, everything within this div here has this CSS, which makes everything within the container red. What if I were to specify something else for the paragraph tag here, which is within the div? So, this is what I've just done. So the div, the color red generally will apply to everything within, but I have specified for this p tag here the color blue. So if I go to the browser now, the text is now blue. So HTML and CSS are part of the front end, which is basically the stuff that the user sees. So like, I see this paragraph tag here, that is front end. Now, the other part of the front end is JavaScript. JavaScript is basically code that runs on the user's web browser. One way to put JavaScript onto a page is with the script tag. And let's say that what I wanted to do was change the contents of this paragraph tag to something else. So I could do this. And if I go back to the browser, well, guess what? This text changed. So that did something. There's a lot you can do with JavaScript, and like with HTML and CSS, if you know what you want to do but don't know how to do it, just look it up. And also, like CSS, it's actually possible to have JavaScript in a separate file and then simply link that file. And again, the same file pathing rules applies there as well. So inside of this div here, I have a paragraph tag. And the paragraph tag is nested inside of the div. What I'm going to do is add an h1 tag inside of the div. And if I go back to the browser, this is what I get. With CSS, it's actually possible to select things which are nested inside of other things. So, to show this, first I'm going to add an ID to the div. Next, I'm going to make a style tag and then select the div, which has the ID of container. I'm also going to remove the color red, as well as the CSS for the paragraph. Now, if I go back to the browser, then the text should be basically plain text. And it is. Let's say that what I want to do is select the paragraph tag inside of the container. I could do this. And let's say that what I want to do is make the paragraph orange. Now, if I go back to the browser, the smaller text here, the paragraph, is orange. What if what I wanted to do was, rather than make the paragraph orange, make the h1 orange? So, this text here, the one in the larger font, I could do this. Rather than targeting the paragraph, I'm going to target the h1, like so, and here we are. Now, if I go back to the browser, the h1, the bigger text here, is orange. So that's one way to select nested HTML items with CSS. What if what I wanted to do was select all tags of a particular type? For example, what I've done is I've made 3 h2 tags, and an h2 tag is basically a header that has a smaller font than an h1. So I'm going to go to the browser, and you can see here the 3 h2 tags. What if what I wanted to do was make these 3 h2 tags the color red? I could do this. What I'm going to do is select all the h2 tags. And I've done that here. And let's say that what I want to do is, hold on, I said make them red, right? Yeah, so let's make them red. Now I'm going to go back to the browser, and look at that. All the h2 tags are red. That was a quick intro to the front end stuff, And the front end is basically HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and whatever else that the user will actually see when they go to the web page. Next part, I'll show you how to navigate between pages, how to pass data from one page to another, and how to use PHP, which is the backend component. Oh, you're still here. I guess you made it right to the end. Well, I suppose you liked the video, so great. I mean, as long as you're here and you like the video, why not press that like button and subscribe to my channel? That would be nice. Anyways, if you will excuse me now, I have to count the spiders on the ceiling. Let's see. 1, 2, 3. Oh God, it's a big one.